What would you do if the very place you built from the ground up, a business founded on compassion, equality, and community, started to rot from the inside? What if your vision of kindness had quietly morphed into a culture of cruelty? That's exactly the question Nathan Daniels, a 42-year-old CEO of one of America's fastest-growing restaurant chains, faced one sweltering summer night in Dallas, Texas. But this wasn't the story of a titan of industry making headlines with acquisitions and boardroom deals. This is the story of a man who stepped out of the spotlight, and into the shadows of his own empire to uncover the truth. And what he found would shake him to his core. For years, Nathan had poured his soul into his company. Not just in business strategies or marketing campaigns, but in the people. He believed in second chances. He hired from underserved communities, trained leaders from within, and promised his team that respect wasn't a perk, it was policy. But then came the whispers. Anonymous emails. Discreet DMs, unfavorable Yelp reviews that didn't complain about the food, but the feel. The cashier rolled her eyes when I asked a question. I felt like I wasn't welcome. They made fun of how I walked. Nothing concrete. Nothing loud. But just enough to prick at Nathan's gut. So, he decided to do what few CEOs ever dare to do. He would go undercover. No press. No assistants. Just him, a plain shirt, old jeans, and a baseball cap pulled low. He parked across the street. Watched the restaurant he'd visited countless times, now with different eyes. When he walked in, the smell hit him first. Warm. Familiar. It reminded him of the early days, when he stood behind the fryer himself. But as he waited in line, he began to see what the reviews were pointing to. 2 young employees at the counter whispered and giggled. At first, he thought nothing of it, until he heard. Did you see how that guy waddled out? I swear he looked like a penguin. Snickering. Then a woman in a threadbare hoodie stepped up. Watch this, one of the employees whispered. She's about to count out quarters for a small fry. Maybe she'll buy a napkin too. More laughter. Nathan stood in line, pretending to scroll through his phone. But inside, a storm brewed. He watched the woman's face when they laughed. Her shoulders hunched. Her eyes avoided theirs. She didn't say a word. Neither did he. Not yet. He ordered. Sat in the corner. Ate in silence. Listened. It didn't stop. One customer asked for a high chair. The employee sighed like it was the end of the world. Another stumbled over English, and they mimicked her accent. It wasn't just bad service. It was contempt. After the dinner rush thinned out, Nathan approached the counter. Hey, he said calmly. Can we talk in the back? They hesitated, shrugged, followed him. One of them smirked. That smirk didn't last long. Behind closed doors, Nathan dropped the mask. He pulled out his business card and placed it on the table. The employee picked it up, then looked up at Nathan, eyes wide. You're the CEO. Nathan nodded. That's right. And I was right there tonight. I saw everything. I heard everything. The room went silent. Nathan didn't yell. He didn't need to. I built this company with one rule, he said. Treat people with dignity. No matter what they look like. How they talk. What's in their wallet. You took that vision, and you made it something small. Something cruel. One of them stammered, we were just joking. Nathan cut him off. If they're not laughing, it's not a joke. He stood. You're suspended. Effective immediately. I'll be talking to your manager. I'll be reviewing security footage. This wasn't a fluke. It's a pattern. One that ends tonight. Nathan spent the next 2 weeks doing what no executive handbook ever teaches, he listened. He sat with customers. former employees, even janitorial staff. And what he found was deeper than misconduct, it was a culture. Managers looked the other way. Employees were afraid to speak up. The company values had become posters, not practice. But then he met Tasha. A young worker who'd kept her head down, and her eyes open. She shared everything. "I knew it was wrong," she said, her voice cracking. "But I didn't think anyone would listen. I didn't think you would care." Nathan was silent. Not out of shock, but shame. He'd built the house. But somewhere along the way, he'd stopped checking if the foundation was cracking. The next staff meeting wasn't just an update. It was a reckoning. Nathan stood at the front of the room. No PowerPoint. No PR consultant. Just truth. "This company is changing," he said. He laid out the reforms. The manager was removed. Tasha was promoted to lead the new inclusivity team. A remorseful employee returned after completing empathy and sensitivity training. A feedback system was introduced, anonymous, accessible, real. Inclusivity training became mandatory. Every team had to recommit to the original mission, dignity, for all. And a new motto was born, "We serve with dignity, for every person." Every time. Nathan didn't stop there. He reached out to civil rights groups, disability advocates, youth mentors. He hosted town halls. Listened to unheard voices. Turned his restaurant from a food spot into a community hub. "This isn't just about a meal," he said during a community dinner event. "It's about how we treat each other when no one's looking." He launched a nationwide initiative, Project Dignity, where franchise owners had to demonstrate community involvement, not just quarterly profits. Local artists were hired to paint murals. Speakers were invited monthly to teach empathy, history, and respect. The story of Nathan Daniels isn't just a tale